guys and gals? Nary here from Drake Wayne Gaming, and assuming you on Twitter, the Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you with a Let's Play episode of Minotaur Hotel. So y'all, before we jump into it, just wanted to let y'all know that our Patreon is now for as little as $5. Y'all can help support the channel, get some awesome rewards like permanent access to our community Discord server and full access to upcoming not safe for work videos. Anyway, y'all, let's go ahead and jump right back in. Alarm chain, you are up, and let's go. Alright. Somehow I find that hard to believe. Come on, it's a compliment. Why would anyone compliment me? What is there to say? I can't even hold a fork like a person. Don't be like that. You're great. Just last night we had so much fun. I very much enjoyed your company. And you dealt so well with Greta's questions. You have a way with tough situations. That can't be. The master must be teasing me. Fat chance. I'm being honest with you here. Your words, however, don't seem to have much of an effect. You might need to do something a little better to cheer him up. What do you do? Can't make a sandwich to eat with your hands. You look back to the battlefield on the top of the table. Petals of orange juice, a slice of cheese draped over a cup of coffee, jam over the cured meats, grease stains strewn all around Asterion's side. It is, however, no messier than what you'd see on a rowdy night out in a bar with friends. And the food, for the most part, should still be safe to eat. With 4 slices of bread and what remains of the cheese and cured meats, with the jam scraped off, you make 2 basic sandwiches. You do make sure to pack them as much as possible before the thing falls off from the sides. And this will be all you'll eat. You might as well make it plentiful. But what do you say we leave this whole mess behind us and enjoy this for our breakfast? No need for cutlery here. The Minotaur clenches his jaws as he accepts your offer. He turns a bit to the side, avoiding your gaze, and you follow suit. The living room fills with the sound of your chewing, interrupted once or twice when Asterion reaches out for his cup of juice. The sandwiches, of all things, break the air of tension in the room. What is left of the jam on the meat adds an unexpected twist to its salty taste, balanced by the cheese's neutral flavor. As you take another bite, you give the Minotaur a sideways glance, and you find him looking back to you, then averting his gaze. You look to the window, to the horizon of orange and blue, then back to Asterion. This time he is the one who catches your gaze, but neither of you look away. You hunch over, elbows supported on your knees. Just then you hear the swish of the Minotaur's tail against the ground. Thank you, and the sandwich was good. You're welcome. You know, I could make us more sandwiches now and then. Asterion opens his mouth to say something, but changes his mind. Instead, he grunts and looks away to finish his meal. Once it's done, he relaxes a bit, resting his hands between his legs, and almost staining his pants with a mess of jam, orange juice, and cheese oil on them. You want help with that? Asterion jerks his tail, twitches his ears, and lets out a rumble from his chest. His legs shift, hooves scrape against the floor, but he nods. He extends his left hand to lay it over yours. The fur on its back is short, but on his knuckles and on the side opposite of his thumb there are scruffy patches, thicker but a centimeter longer. Like, you know, water time. It is smooth and firm fur, as one might expect from his bovine heritage. Just below that thin layer, there is... Get over here. Okay. And below that thin layer, there is his hand, wholly human in shape. The nails, however, are black and thicker than any you've ever seen. You take a napkin with your left hand, and as you clean between his fingers, his forearm tenses and sends contractions all the way up to the palm of his hand and tip of his fingers. Like a cat's paw contracting over his owner's finger, all of Asterion's fingers twitch and curl at once, trapping your hand in his grasp. His palm is sweaty, and the beating of his heart makes itself known despite his coarse, thick skin. Just as you look up to him, you feel the fur at his wrist standing on end, followed by a rumble crawling from his chest all the way to your hand. I'm sorry. He lets your hand go with the same deliberate glacial pace he trapped it in the first place. Just as he lets you go, his fingers follow yours before stopping. You could swear his breathing quickened, but there's no doubt he scoots his chair closer to you. Then when you reach in further to clean the fine webbing of his fingers, you feel a certain resistance. Asterion's gaze drills into his own hand. He tries to pry his fingers further apart to grant you better access. It's as if his nerves are made of stone. His fingers shudder and tremble. The Minotaur sighs and grunts each time he tries to mold his hand to ease your work. At last, you clean the palm of his hand, and, just as your napkin graces the center where the lines meet, all his fingers curl up again. His movements are twitchy, more like an involuntary, uncoordinated reflex than a willful act. I can't control it. When you touch it like that, it just closes on reflex. I see. I sure am learning a lot about your hands today. I suppose you are. He opens his hand once more, and you hover a finger over the palm, threatening to touch it. Astarion's gaze shows no opposition to what you're about to do. You graze the tip of your finger, slow enough to let your nail caress the hills and valleys of his handprint. The Minotaur's hand clutches yours, but this time your deliberateness gifted Asterion with some of his own. His fingers rest between your knuckles, with his pinky hanging off to the side. He mutters something under his breath. When you look up at his face, you find his gaze lost, his chest bouncing up and down in shallow breaths. You budge a bit, but he doesn't want to let go. And in fact, there's just a tiny bit of pressure, as if he wanted to nudge your fingers apart to entwine them with his. You fucking weirdos! Fucking entwining your hands like that. There's no hand holding in this hotel. Something like a mew escapes his throat, although he seems none the wiser about it. Oh my god. And he doubted me when I said you were adorable. He's in a whole different world. The sensation is not at all unpleasant. If one doesn't mind his sweaty palm. In fact, having such a larger hand holding yours feels like being a child once more. Second, yo. Water time. Crack one open, boys. There we go. Today, orange cream bubbly. Alright. Once again, you try to open your hand, and this time he complies, but you don't disengage. With such a youthful spirit taking over your mind, an idea springs forth. Before your hands separate, you pull them back to entwine your fingers once more, with your thumbs pointing up this time. Have you ever played thumb wrestling? Is that a thing people used to do? Huh? Thumb wrestling? Yeah, it's a game kids play nowadays. By nowadays, I mean that I played when I was in school, but it's not a new thing by any stretch of the imagination. We hold hands like this, and you demonstrate by trying to pin his thumb down, although it is an unfair match from the get-go. His hand is like Goliath to your David. And then we try to pin each other's thumb, just like wrestling. I see. Except he doesn't. The first round of the two you play is defined by his passivity and lack of quick reflexes. During the second one, he fares better. He puts up more of a fight, but when it comes down to a contest of strength, he lets you win without much opposition. He's getting focused on the task, however. His breathing returns to regularity, and his eyes regain some sharpness. Are you going easy on me? Come on, put up some resistance. Okay. How about this? This time, Goliath crushes the competition. Asteri's thumb crashes on top of yours and overpowers you. There, like that? Yeah. Now how about a best out of 3? His hand may be bigger than yours and covered in fur, and his nails may be dark like coal, but while indulging in such childish playtime, it's easy to let the world melt away around you. The games that Asterion played when he was a kid. Thumb wrestling may not have been one of them, but it awakens something in him nonetheless. He laughs, giggles, flicks his ears, and thrashes his tail around. It's hard to say for sure, but even his cheeks seem a little flushed now. These intervals of childish wonder cannot last long, however. The living room is still a mess. After your playtime, Asterion won, the two of you tidy up the place, carrying still the soreness in your cheeks that comes when one laughs too much. At times, he offers you unashamed glance, with no attempt of hiding it. Would Master believe if I said you remind me of an old friend? Really? What was he like? Perhaps that is a matter for another time. We do have our duties to attend to, do we not? And I have a mess to clean up as well. You take a good look at the floor. I am afraid you're right. In fact, we have a special mission for today. One of exceptional importance. Is that so? Now, what does my wise lord have in mind? Well, do you remember our conversation last night about the internet? That's what we need to do. Connect this loathsome place to the outside world. And nowadays, all guests expect to have internet connection whenever they stop by a hotel. We need to keep up with modern times. So you know. Water time. Ah yes, I remember now. You were sent for me to take you to that place I told you about. Very well. Is the master ready? May we proceed? Yes, let's go. Asterion walks to the door leading back to the stairway, but stops. You hear the faintest sound. Is he humming? Then the door clicks and you see outside is nothing like the inviting light from the stairway. A tunnel stretches ahead of you, sloping down. Its walls are raw, bare stone. Asterion walks in as if there was nothing out of the ordinary, and what just happened. He gives you only a brief glance, inviting you to follow. As soon as you cross the doorway, the very air around you changes. A bitter dampness hits you like a truck. It pries your mouth open and burns its way into your lungs. The entire hotel so far had air so dry it could make your nose bleed. But this place is already covering your skin in a sheet of sweat and grime. Just being here makes you feel dirty. But Asterion keeps going, and you follow along a few feet behind. The light from the doorway behind you grows dimmer, and the farther you go, the louder are the Minotaur's footsteps. The two of you travel a labyrinthine set of twists and turns, and with each shift, the wall changes further into polished rock. The air worsens to such an extent that you have to make an effort not to cough. Regardless, your tongue is covered by a bitter oil that you can neither swallow nor spit out. The harsh sound of Asterion's hooves against stone, echoing all the way down the corridor, is both an invitation to proceed and an unnatural sound pushing you out of this place. That is, until the Minotaur steps on something brittle. You drag your feet along the floor and can feel the texture of the stone change. Its former smoothness has given way to a rougher, harsher surface that scrapes against your soles. Oh my. The claustrophobic corridors give way to a large chamber. It is darker than any room you have seen in the hotel thus far, save perhaps for the cold room. But light from some source you can't quite determine still allows you to examine the chamber in full detail. The polished stone floor and walls, even outside the doorway leading to the previous corridors, are covered with a thin layer of purple dust. The layers get thicker and thicker as your eyes follow them to the center of the room, where a large wall of crystalline rock in that same dark color cuts the room in half. To the right and left there are two large wooden tables on which a number of people could have worked together. Their legs are also covered in purple dust and seem to be stuck to the floor by growths of crystal. Books, sketches, documents, and schematics are strewn across the tables, and an old vase holding writing quills fashioned out of peacock feathers sits among the mess. Stone columns along the wall support the shadowed ceiling. They too are covered in dust, but the red and black paint that lies underneath is bright and fresh. Like, no. It is water time. Alright. The middle portion of the room's floor is peculiar. It seems to have been a shallow pool once, a foot deeper than the floor around it, but now it is dried and covered by thick outgrowths of purple rock. At the very center of the chamber is a wide basin consumed by the same rock. This is it. We call this place the bedrock. The stone you see is a form of obsidian. Ooh, excuse me. This place is as old as the labyrinth. It has always existed. You rub your hand on the crystal wall. The stone is brittle. With a flick of your finger, you break off a shard. Just rubbing it between your fingertips turns it into a coarse powder that sucks up the air's humidity. As you proceed to examine it, you feel that the stain it leaves on your hand is irregular. There are oily black spots and watery red blotches. My lord, it's dirty, covered in centuries-old dust and grime. For your own good, I would advise against touching the obsidian. Oh, good thinking. You rub your hand on your shirt. Thank you. I would rather not see the master coming in contact with impure substances. I'd rather recommend you change clothes once we return. The Minotaur takes a step towards you, standing between you and the wall of dark crystals. May we proceed? The basin at the center of the room. That's what we use for the radio. This is the equipment that broadcasts radio signals? I suppose that is a way to put it. A more appropriate description is that it is the realm's link to the outside world. You take a look into the basin. It is hard to know for sure, but since it is covered in dark stone, but it's almost as if there was no bottom to it. Alright, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can. It always helps. Before I go, I'm going to give a quick shout out to our lovely bronze tier patrons. Thank y'all for all you do for the channel. We greatly appreciate your support. Thank you to our silver tier patron, Cade Silvermoon. Thank you for going a bit above and beyond. It's greatly appreciated. And thank you to our gold tier patron, Almer. Thanks for subbing to our ultimate tier. You're awesome. We love you. We hope you enjoy your new icon anyway. If y'all want to get your names in the credits, get access to our not safe for work contents as little as $5. Alrighty, I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next video. And also, happy Thanksgiving, y'all. Bye-bye!